Saturday marks 10 years since then-President Barack Obama announced the death of Osama bin Laden. The May 1, 2011 address came nearly 1 decade after bin Laden was named public enemy #1 for his role in plotting the September 11th attacks. The former al-Qaeda leader went into hiding after the deadliest attack ever on U.S. soil. He was only seen and heard in taped recordings released by the terror network. U.S. intelligence pinpointed the terror mastermind holed up in a compound in northern Pakistan. In the dead of night, a small group of elite Navy commandos known as SEAL Team 6 entered the safe house and took him out. Following the death of the most wanted man in the world, the Navy SEALs gained worldwide recognition. But as CBS News senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge reports, that notoriety also caused a division within one of the U.S.'s most elite military units.
Our team spoke with more than a dozen members of the SEAL community, including former and active duty SEALs, who said most serve with honor. But they also said there is a corrupt element in their brotherhood, adding the celebrity that came with the raid made some SEALs feel untouchable.
Days after 9/11, President Bush launched a massive global manhunt from Ground Zero.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
A decade later, the search ended at this compound in Pakistan, where the quiet professionals of SEAL Team 6 executed the mission and were thrust into the headlines.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda.
They should never have said Navy SEALs did this.
Eric Deming spent nearly 20 years as a SEAL and did tours in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I hate being in this chair talking to you right now, and I don't know if this is going to help, but at least it'll expose the problem. And I'm hoping this encourages good SEALs to start saying enough is enough.
You're coming forward because you care about the SEAL community.
100%.
Deming told us he's speaking out because he believes SEALs have to start holding themselves accountable.
Was the raid that took out Osama bin Laden a turning point for the SEALs?
It was definitely a turning point.
For some SEALs, did the raid make them feel untouchable?
A lot of them were feeling that way before, and it just put it into overdrive.
We love the job, we love the community, but it has taken a wrong turn.
3 SEALs, including one on active duty, sat down with CBS News on the condition we change their voices and hide their identities.
Why the disguise?
We are risking a lot to be here, risking careers, possible safety.
What does retaliation look like?
It looks like physical abuse. It looks like tearing down your reputation.
The group told us there are bad SEALs with outsized influence on the teams.
There are 3 groups in the teams. There's a small group on one side that is evil. They're lawless. There's a small group on the other side that stands up to them. And then there's a giant group in the middle that cowardly stays out of it, and they watch the evil guys railroad the good guys.
2 SEALs recently pleaded guilty in the strangulation of Green Beret Logan Melgar in West Africa. His death has been described as a hazing incident gone wrong.
I don't believe it.
This didn't just happen suddenly. There were 100 steps leading up to that. Lawlessness, narcissism, thinking they're untouchable.
What would you say to Staff Sergeant Melgar's family?
Keep fighting.
Keep up the good fight. He was, by all accounts, a good person. Those are the kind of guys we need in the military, and we're not going to purge out the bad ones unless we do all stand up together to get them out.
And there's the controversial case of Edward Gallagher, who was accused of killing a teenage ISIS prisoner in 2017. He was put on trial for war crimes, but in surprise testimony, a SEAL medic who'd been granted immunity confessed to what he described as a mercy killing. Then President Trump publicly sided with the SEAL.
With Eddie Gallagher, you know that story very well. They wanted to take his pin away, and I said, no, you're not going to take it away. He was a great fighter.
In the end, Gallagher was convicted of a lesser charge of posing with the prisoner's body.
But I am angry. I feel betrayed.
Drug abuse has been a problem, too. Around 2016, Senior SEAL Commander Jamie Sands read the East Coast teams the Riot Act.
How do you decide that it's okay for you to do drugs
2 years after that dressing down, a heavily redacted Navy investigation obtained by CBS News showed 6 members of SEAL Team 10 tested positive for cocaine.
You have firsthand knowledge of deployments where individuals have been taking drugs.
Yes.
Yes. I've taken drug tests in the SEAL teams where I walked into an office, was handed the vial, and just told, bring it back when it's full. And that's not the procedure. You're supposed to be supervised doing the test.
You're saying it's not hard to beat the test.
Right. And that's been documented.
At least one SEAL admitted his cocaine use during sniper school and on deployment. Drug use went beyond cocaine to methamphetamine, ecstasy, and marijuana. Some SEALs said drug testing was a joke.
I would say the majority of guys are not doing it. We've got to work hard to find the guys who are and how they're getting it around.
Allegations of drinking and sexual assault got a SEAL platoon pulled from Iraq in July 2019. That same week, a memo from SEAL leadership read, "We have a problem."
Our lack of order and discipline comes from weak leadership and not enforcing the standards.
What happens when a SEAL team doesn't have good order and discipline?
It goes crazy.
Alcohol-related incidents, training mishaps, lost equipment.
Loss of life.
Loss of life at the end of the day.
The SEALs told us speaking up can have consequences. They showed us photos of a fellow SEAL who they say was physically beaten up by several teammates for calling out bad behavior.
His leadership turned a blind eye to it, didn't act on it, and essentially gave permission to the SEALs that he accused to deal with it on their terms.
Street justice, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
For the SEALs watching this, the one thing I would want them to think about is, where's the line for you? And if we can't all agree that wrong things are wrong, then it's just going to keep going on.
Killing Osama bin Laden 10 years ago was celebrated in the streets. The operation by SEAL Team 6 also brought a kind of celebrity that was at odds with the tradition of being a quiet professional.
We became a brand.
If we had never known the SEALs took out Osama bin Laden, you believe the SEAL community would be in a better place today?
Yes.
Yes.
One of the first thoughts in my mind was, how long are we going to go before somebody exploits this for personal gain? And we didn't have to wait long.
We've just crossed the border, now entering Pakistan.
Hollywood told the story of the raid in the film Zero Dark 30. And CBS has aired 4 seasons of its own primetime series, SEAL Team. Online, former SEALs monetize their newfound fame.
Take a look at these autograph photos that we bought online. Why are you shaking your head?
I don't want to touch it.
This is not okay.
No, it's not okay. What about the quiet professional does that encompass? None of it.
Before I came into the Navy, almost every SEAL I met, when I asked him point blank, "Are you a Navy SEAL?" and I knew he was a Navy SEAL, he denied it.
And you respect that?
I respect it. Just don't talk about it.
Stay under the radar.
Exactly.
Members of SEAL Team 6 were disciplined for serving as paid consultants to a video game company.
What's the problem?
Exposing tactics, techniques, procedures. They expose all kinds of things of how we operate.
Another was punished for writing an unauthorized account of the raid.
It's not everybody doing it. Most of the guys in the SEAL teams want the books to stop. They want the movies to stop, the TV shows to stop.
Why shouldn't they make some money when they're finished?
Because this isn't going to Harvard to get a business degree. You serve to uphold the Constitution of the United States and to protect our country. The military and our operations, they're not for sale.
We asked the SEALs why they're speaking out.
There is desperation. To put it in 3 words, we need help. And that's why we're here.
The top SEAL commander declined our interview request, but provided a statement that mirrored his testimony to Congress Wednesday.
I present our update to the American people with humility. Humility sharpened in combat losses, mission failures, and imperfection. A humility that drives our sense of urgency to learn, to evolve, and to always come back stronger and even more committed to the missions our nation asks of us.
The Pentagon's Inspector General has undertaken an evaluation into potential war crimes, whether Special Operations, which includes the SEALs, has done enough to prevent war crimes and reported them if they happened on the battlefield.
The SEAL teams have gone off the rails. They are not operating the way the SEAL teams that I grew up in.
What would you say to people who look at the situation and say, this is the consequence of 2 decades of war?
I can't blame it on the war. I honestly blame it on my leadership and not holding guys accountable and allowing not good, law and discipline. And that's all it takes. You tell where the boundaries are. You can't do this, 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 and this. And if you do, you're done.
What's it going to take to fix the problem?
It's going to take good guys in the team staying there, fighting the good fight, calling them out, and then some outside entity coming in and doing a full review of everything. It's got to come from outside, and it's got to be somebody that's got some integrity.
Deming, who filed a complaint over training practices, still carries the trident from his days as a SEAL. Without change, Deming shattered his own child's dreams.
You wouldn't let your own son join the SEALs?
I wouldn't.
Was it a hard conversation with your son?
You crush them. You see it on my face.
As our reports have aired across the CBS News platforms, members of the SEAL community have been reaching out to us. As we continue to hear new stories, our investigative team will pursue and report all angles. As for the SEALs, they continue to deploy around the world on dangerous, sensitive operations, the vast majority of which the rest of us will never hear about. Catherine Herridge, CBS News, Washington.